Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. And today is Taco Tuesday.
It's raining tacos from out of the sky. Tacos, no need to ask why. Just open your mouth and close your eyes. It's raining tacos.
It's raining tacos out in the street. Tacos, all you can eat. Lettuce and shells, cheese and meat. It's raining tacos. Yum, 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 yummity yum. It's like a dream.
That's right, folks. The best theme song for Taco Tuesday in the world, right here on the Rundown. Very much appreciate you tuning in. Today is going to be us. Mike's not going to be able to do it today because he's doing his civic duty today. So it's going to be us. So we're going to be having a conversation. If you're watching live, would like to encourage you to comment. If you're watching live, that means it's probably sometime after 3 p.m. Pacific, after 6 p.m. Eastern, somewhere in that hour. But you're watching us on YouTube, you're watching us on Rumble, you're watching us on Facebook or Twitter, or X I believe is the new name for it now. But want to encourage you, go ahead and comment. Let us know what you think about what we're talking about today. Would love to hear from you. Would love to have once again a conversation. Want to encourage you to do that. Anyway. But before we do anything, we got to do what we got to do, and that is we got to start off by giving a quick shout out to our sponsors. We're going to start with Hitman Industries. You'll find them at hitmanindustries.net. They have the best in barrels, whether they're whether they're handgun barrels or whether they're long gun barrels. Trust me, they've got what you need. If you've purchased an AR in the last 5 years, chances are you already have one of their barrels. So whether you're looking to do a brand new build or you're looking to re-barrel your current rifle, check them out today. And if you're a first responder and you've never bought from them before, then you will get a discount. So check them out today at hitmanindustries.net. Then we've got the California Republican Assembly working to help elect conservatives at all level of government, from school board all the way up to President of the United States. Ronald Reagan once referred to CRA as the conscience of the Republican Party. Go to cragop.org, that's cragop.org, and check them out today. Then we've got Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com and you will find the best in concealed carry and tactical holsters on the market. And if you use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces, just like it is right there, you're going to get a discount on us. So visit hogholsters.com. That's HAWG Holsters, helping Americans wear guns. And then finally, the place to go. If you're looking for outdoor gear, camping gear, cold weather, wet weather, hot weather, you name it, they have all things tactical but the gun. They have a huge selection of products. They have excellent prices, very competitive prices, and fast shipping. Veteran owned and operated. Check them out today, uscombatgear.com. All right, yesterday, Donald Trump made his debut on Twitter. It was originally launched as Twitter Spaces, and then they changed to X, so now I think they just call it Spaces. But this was, you might recall, the same platform that was used over there by Elon Musk when Ron DeSantis decided to launch his presidential bid. And needless to say, this time it also had some technical difficulties. Now, this time, though, they were able to trace those technical difficulties to what they call a DDoS, right? Basically, what happened was they had a DDoS attack. Basically, hackers were attacking Twitter, trying to overload their systems so that they basically couldn't handle it, right? And it took them about 45 minutes to get things going, to finally get things up and running. And, it's kind of funny to me how the people who claim to want to save democracy, want to protect free speech from disinformation, these are the very same people who are going out of their way to try and keep one political party from being able to speak, that are constantly attacking the presidential candidates on one particular side of the aisle. And by the way, it's not the candidates on the side of the aisle that just went behind closed doors in a smoke-filled room. And when I say smoke-filled, it probably wasn't cigar smoke this time. It was probably that ganja. But went behind the closed doors in a smoke-filled room and selected, anointed, and appointed a candidate. They definitely did not bother to elect a candidate, right? Kamala Harris, regardless of what you want to say, she has been selected, not elected. And I'm sorry, if you want to say the exact opposite, the facts do not support your position. Anyway, all that having been said, they finally did get a chance to do the interview. And when you take out that 45 minutes, it was over an hour. The overall interview was over an hour. And it was a lot of interesting things that were said during that interview. And I'm not going to recap the whole interview. You know what? There's plenty of people out there who are doing it. So I'm not going to go ahead and do that. But what I did want to do was I did notice that the first thing that they do anytime Donald Trump opens his mouth, there's two things that they do. One, they call him a liar. And then two, they fact check him. And what I have found almost every single time that I have looked at their fact checking, I find that they're full of crap. That their quote unquote, fact checking is full of crap. Now, I will give them this one little caveat. And it's one that you know that I've talked about dozens of times. And that's the fact that Donald Trump he's a salesman. He's known for exaggeration. And he does exaggerate. I'm not even going to lie about that. But the problem is oftentimes the exaggeration is so big that you know he's putting dubs on it. You know he's exaggerating. But the point is the thing is that the point that he's making is actually accurate. So they never say, for example, if he says, well, the economy was the best economy that we've ever had, they never say, well, actually, the economy was doing very poorly. No, they never say that. They say, no, well, the economy did better here or did better here or did better here. Ignoring the fact that, yeah, but it did better than it did under Barack Obama, who was the president before him. And it did better than the economy than Joe Biden, who was the president after him. Right? They ignore that fact. And they call him a liar. Anyway, CNN did a little fact check thingy. And they said that he made at least 20 false claims during his conversation. And I just wanted to touch, I'm not gonna do all of them, but I wanted to touch on a few of these. I wanted to just go ahead and have a conversation about some of these. So let's go here. We're going to start here. First of all, he said crime. Trump said our crime rate is going through the roof. Now, they're saying here Trump's claim is false. Both violent crime and property crime dropped significantly in 2023 and in the first quarter of 2024. Now, here's where the falsehood is. Number one, crime rate went up dramatically in 2021. Violent crime rate went up dramatically in 2022. Both of those are Joe Biden years, right? So crime was down, or at least it was further down under Donald Trump than it was under Joe Biden. So crime has gone up. The majority of Joe Biden's term. Now, when they talk about violent crime going down, let's throw a few things in there. Number one, there are a whole bunch of major cities that stopped reporting, by the way, that reported in 2022, reported their crime statistics to the FBI, but didn't in 2023 and didn't in 2024 in the first quarter. So part of the reason why you're seeing crime go down is because in places in particular where crime is high, they're not reporting. They just stopped. But CNN's not going to talk about that. Right? They're going to completely and utterly ignore that fact. So let's see. Crime was lower under Donald Trump. Check. Violent crime, we now know, is actually up. And we'll talk a little bit about that. I think I had another story here that was talking about, here we go. Democrats are hiding the rise in violent crime with tricky statistics. Now, I'll read a little bit this. This is from the New York Post. It says, make no mistake, violent crime was up under Donald Trump. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz warned in his first speech as Kamala Harris is running mate. If you look this up at home, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg claimed last month, you will know that crime went down under Biden and crime went up under Trump. Why would America want to go back to a higher crime rate we experienced under Donald Trump? But the opposite is true. Between 2016 and 2020, violent crime fell by 17% under Trump and soared by 43% under Biden from 2021 to 2022. Of course, news outlets routinely assert that Americans are mistaken in believing that violent crime is rising. On Monday, Axios had a typical headline: New data shows violent crime dropping sharply in major U.S. cities. Or from NPR earlier this year, violent crime is dropping fast in the U.S., even if Americans don't believe it. But Democrats and the media don't understand the difference between the number of crimes reported to police and the total number of crimes. There are two measures of crime. One, the FBI's NIBRS counts, and the numbers of crimes reported to police yearly. The other is the Bureau of Justice Statistics National Crime Victimization Survey. Asks about 240,000 people each year whether they have been victims of crime in an attempt to measure both reported and unreported crimes. Since 2020, these two measures have been highly negatively correlated. The FBI has been finding fewer instances of crime, but people are simultaneously answering in greater numbers that they have been victims. We know that crime victim reports only about 40% of violent crimes and 30% of property crimes to police. Prior to 2020, the FBI and NCVS numbers generally moved together. But every year from 2020 onward, these figures have moved in opposite directions. For instance, in 2022, the FBI reported 2.1% drop in violent crime, but the NCVS showed an alarming increase of 42.4%, the largest one-year percentage increase in violent crime reported by that measure. Part of the reason is that law enforcement in the United States has collapsed. Take, for example, cities like New York with more than 1 million people. The FBI shows arrest rates for reported violent crimes such as cities plunged more than half, from 44% in 5 years before COVID pandemic to just 20% in 2022, the largest drop ever. Now, what that's telling you, folks, is people aren't getting arrested for crimes. People aren't reporting crimes. And then you've got instances in many cases where these cities are not reporting the crimes. They're just not. Or they're not reporting the crimes to the federal. They're not reporting it to the FBI. So anyway, we now know that, they're wrong. They lied. That is an incorrect fact check. Now, here I am. I don't have a team. This is just me. Spending a little time on the internet looking this stuff up. And yet I'm able to find this, but they are not able to find this. All right, let's get on to the next one here. Inflation. Here it says, Trump said, "I think we have the worst inflation we've had in 100 years. They say it's 48 years. I don't believe it." Trump framed this opinion, but it's baseless nonetheless. Wrong in two different ways. First, even when the inflation rate hit Biden era peak of 9.1% in June of 2022, that 9.1 rate was the highest since 1981, between 40 and 41 years prior. Certainly not 100 years, not even 48 years. Second, inflation has declined sharply since the June 2022 peak, and the most recent available rate at the time he spoke for July 2024 was 3.2%, a rate that Biden presidency aside was exceeded as recently as 2011. All right. So in other words, what he's pointing to here is the fact that, it never, first of all, let's be clear. It was never 3.2%. It was not 3.2% under Donald Trump during his entire term. It never went over 3%. It was right around 2% or under 2% was the inflation rate under Donald Trump. So first and foremost, let's be clear. Inflation is still higher than it was under Donald Trump. But let's also point to this, right? Inflation rate, right? Meaning it's still going up. Prices have still gone up dramatically. We are still paying on average across the board about 20% more across the board for stuff than we were before Joe Biden became president. Now, a lot of that can be tied to his policies. One, his monetary policies, flooding the entire market, flooding the economy with printed government money, right? Basically just making up dollars, right? Creating an overflow of dollars, which meant the value of each one of those dollars went down, which caused inflation. Then there's his energy policy. Day one, he overturned a bunch of regulations, a bunch of things that made it easier for and encouraged those in the energy industry to explore for energy here in the United States. We went from being energy independent under Donald Trump to being energy dependent under Joe Biden. These are policies that he had direct effect over. And once again, even though it's down at 3.2%, it's still going up. The prices are still going up. Inflation rate may not be up, but it's still going up. Once again, they're calling this a falsehood. But is he wrong? I mean, he said 48 years, 100 years. He doesn't know. He doesn't believe it. But one of the things he can point to is this. On the things that are that are things that you can't really negotiate. Like, for example, you can't negotiate the price of gas. You got to go to work, right? You got to go to school. You got to get in the car and get where you got to get. So fuel prices are non-elastic. How about rent? Rent prices are pretty non-elastic. Those are still way up. At least 50% higher than they were when Joe Biden took office. What about mortgage rates? Mortgage rates were in the mid to high 2% when he got in office. Now it's at around 7%. Isn't that like a 300% increase? Forgive my math. Forgive my math if I'm a little bit off. But think about that, folks. And those are things that are non-elastic. If you want to go and buy a home now, if you want to buy an average house in California, I think it's something like $400,000 is the price of an average home. That's the payment that you are going to pay is about the same payment as you would have paid on a $750,000 house just a couple of years ago. But they don't care about that. CNN does not care about that. They don't care about the fact that you may not like it overall, but for the most part, dude is right. How are you gonna go out on stuff like that? Right? Oh, tell you what, here's another one. You guys will love this one. All right, here it talks about Harris and prisoners. Trump claimed of Harris, she wants to release all the prisoners that are in detention, and some of these guys are really bad. And that just came out today. Facts first. This is false. There is no basis for the claim that Harris wants to release all the prisoners that are in detention. Trump appeared to be referring to news stories in conservative media that reported that Harris said in 2019, while unsuccessfully running for the Democratic presidential primary, that she wanted to close privately run immigration detention centers. Now, if she has changed her position, should she not say so? If she is going to change her position, should she not say so? Otherwise, is it not safe to assume that she is going to take the same position that she did 4 years ago when she ran for president? Is that so hard to assume? Or are you just acknowledging that she's a flip-flopper, that she has no real basis in no real basis in fact or in moral value or ideological compass. That she's a chameleon. Yeah, that's what she is. She's a chameleon. She's going to be what you need her to be in order to get thee to vote for she. That's what she's going to do, right? I mean, anyway. So, folks, these are just some of the things. And I encourage you to go ahead, check out the story. There's a bunch of, once again, false claims in there. And like I said, most of it is over stupid stuff. Because, yeah, Donald Trump, I don't know what this fascination is he has with audience size. But he seems to get really, really butthurt when people say that his crowds aren't, or don't talk about the size of his crowds, but do talk about the size of Kamala's crowds. Now, I got to admit, there is some inequity there. They do spend a lot of time talking about Kamala's size of Kamala's crowds and the enthusiasm, the joy. And I'm like, I'll just put it to you this way. I've never been to a Trump rally. I've never gone to one, but I will tell you this. The people that I know who have gone will tell you that it's full of joy. People are happy. People are joyous. They are having a good time. And, to act like they're not, while at the same time the people who are, and rumors have been that people are actually getting paid to show up at some of these rallies, or that they're putting concerts on in order to get people to show up. I don't know. I'm just telling you those are the rumors. I'm not saying that I believe them. Well, I kind of believe them. I'm not saying I have evidence from them. I'm not saying that they've been verified. But Democrats they'd do that. The Democratic Party would do that. So anyway, I encourage you, check it out. Look, the media is going to lie, but we still have to pay attention to what they're going to say. And the reason we have to pay attention to what they're going to say is so that we can be prepared to counter their lies, right? We already talked about Democrats hiding violent crime. We already know that to be the case. But here's something else, and this kind of gets to some of what she was talking about here. 90% of illegals get to stay in the U.S. under the Harris-Biden deportation plan, and this is something they want you to believe that. Look, we're doing a whole lot. We're really addressing the issue of illegal immigration, but the problem is, once again, they're not. Just like their border plan, or under their border plan, the whole goal was, this one they keep pushing. They want to fund border agents. No, they want to fund border agents to basically be travel agents, to basically stamp people's paperwork and pass them on through. Just let them on into the United States, not actually address the issue of illegal immigration, of people entering our country illegally. They're not interested in doing that, right? Well, same thing here. When it comes to deportation, they may deport some people, but they're not interested in deporting people who are here illegally. Right here, it says Biden-Harris deportation program allowed. This means what they've already done. Allowed 90% of illegals to stay in the U.S. Biden-Harris administration program meant to deport families who entered the United States illegally has instead allowed nearly 90% of the migrants to remain in the country. More than 22,000 of the 24,000 migrants placed in the family expedited removal program were allowed to stay in the United States, with only around 2,600 deported so far and thousands more having fled the program, according to the New York Post report on Tuesday. Border Patrol agents have apprehended over 842,000 migrants at the southern border since the Biden-Harris administration introduced the program in May of 2023. The report comes as Vice President Kamala Harris faces intense backlash over her failure as border czar to secure the southern border. More than 7.8 million migrants, including nearly 100 individuals on the terrorist watch list, have crossed into the United States illegally under the Biden-Harris administration. Is this anything that really surprises anybody? I mean, if you're surprised, go ahead and let me know in the comments what you're surprised about, because there doesn't really appear to be a whole lot to be surprised about. There's nothing really new here. We know all of this. The 7.8, by the way, the 7.8 million does not include the gotaways, right? Those are the encounters that they have had. That 7.8 million does not include the gotaways, the known gotaways, let alone the unknown gotaways. And we know the bad guys, the really bad guys, they're not the ones who just, and by the way, most of the people who've been involved in those encounters, they're people who come across the border, and as soon as they get across, they're like, la migra, immigration? Where's immigration? They look for the immigration officers so that they can get processed and sent on their way. The ones who are the gotaways, you know, when they overwhelm the people when they overwhelm the border patrol with the people who want to get caught, the gotaways sneak in and they see them, but they can't get over to them because they're busy with all these people who need to have their paperwork processed, right? Those are those gotaways, those known gotaways. Yeah, probably a lot more bad guys in the known gotaways that we don't know about. And then there's the unknown gotaways. The ones who, okay, well, while they're processing them and they're watching them, there's someone somewhere else that's just coming on in. We don't know about them. We don't know what bad guys. And by the way, those are the ones who are carrying like the fentanyl and the weed, and the ones who are trafficking the children for sex and all the sex work. That's where all the bad stuff is coming across. They're flooding our system with people who want to get caught so that they have to be processed so that they can get the people with all of the contraband in and the bad people, right? That's happening, folks. If you don't believe it, go over to Fox News, go over to their YouTube channel and just look up Bill Melugin. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Pull up his reports. He will show you if there's not at least 100 reports from over the last couple of years with him talking about what's going on at the southern border. I don't know. Dude, you could probably do a film, a whole movie, a whole documentary just based on what Bill Melugin over at Fox has done. So he's done a yeoman's job of stuff over there. But anyway, pay attention to what's going on over there, folks. Do not allow them to continue to lie to you, because that's exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to lie to you. Anyway, finally, and we're just kind of continuing this. This may wind up being an ongoing thing. We'll talk about different ways in which Harris is lying. And by the way, Kamala Harris is continuing to lie. She is running. She is running scared. We're still right now. We are on day 23, right? It's been 23 days since she became the de facto nominee for the Democratic Party. All right? It's been since June 24th. June 24th. Since she's done any sit-down interviews. And she still doesn't feel the need to do it. In fact, there was a piece, I believe, over at the Washington Post where they're saying, look, she learned it from Joe Biden. Why do not doing interviews actually works? Well, let me tell you when not doing interviews works. When the media plays along. When the media allows you to get away with not doing any interviews, then yeah, it's going to work because they're on your team. Right? When the media is on your team and they're never actually going to challenge you, then why should you? All right, you don't think they're on their team? How about this? How about Time Magazine? Time Magazine putting Kamala Harris on the cover. Her moment. You know what's funny about this? She denied them an interview. She would not do an interview with them. They did an entire piece, a cover piece, promoting Kamala Harris as her moment. She is going to be the next president of the United States. Oh, how glorious. But she wouldn't even sit down and talk with them. A friendly outfit. Won't even sit down with someone who's going to be friendly to her and do an interview, let alone a Fox News. I want you to think about this. I want you to imagine this. By the way, just to be clear, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris were both invited to the National Association of Black Journalists, right, to be interviewed. Donald Trump showed up. Kamala Harris didn't. both Kamala Harris and Donald Trump were invited by Elon Musk to come on Twitter and be interviewed. Donald Trump showed up, Kamala Harris didn't. Donald Trump, in the last 2 weeks, has done multiple hour-long press availabilities and press conferences. Kamala Harris has not done a press conference. I don't know when the last time she did a press conference. She hasn't taken a question. Well, no, I take that back. She took a question about a week ago, sometime the end of last week. And in the question, she was asked when she was going to do an interview. She said, probably sometime by the end of the month. That's the only question she has answered since June 24th. And by the way, June 24th, Morning Joe. For those of you who don't know who Morning Joe is, that's probably because you don't watch MSNBC. You know, the station that, might as well be the, not the station, because there's tons of stations. There's tons of media outlets on the left that basically are part of the propaganda, the Pravda of the Democratic Party. But and I've never seen her on Fox News. I've never seen her sit down with anyone from Fox News, ever. How about this? How about you sit down with Chris Wallace from CNN? I mean, I know he's lost favor amongst conservatives, but I do know that he's no stranger to hard-hitting questions. No, if she does ever sit down with anyone, it's only going to be party loyalists. It's only going to be people who are going to ask her softball questions. She can't even sit down with Lester Holt. I mean, Lester Holt was throwing her softball questions and she was whiffing. It was bad. For those of you who watched it, it was bad. She can't do tough interviews. She can't answer questions. She has to have a teleprompter. She has to have something there in front of her so that she can have her talking points all there, because she's real good. She's real good on the stump. You give her a script, she will deliver. She is the Hollywood candidate. That's why Hollywood loves her, because she knows how to read them lines. But man, if you ask her to be extemporaneous, yeah. Nope. Sorry. Not going to happen. Anyway, folks, that then brings us to our parting shots. Let me get this thing cleared up over her so that I can bring over the logo for you so you can see. Here we go. Bam. All right, parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. Use discount code The Rundown. All caps, no spaces. Get your hog holster today. All right, in the theme of our story, this is brought to you by the Babylon Bee. Fake news that you can count on. For those of you who are fact-checking the show, I will say it once again, fake news that you can count on. All right, we're going to start off here. It says, Kamala's team releases new campaign slogan, "We decline your request for an interview." And that's right, she is not cool. Not cool at all. Anyway, not doing any interviews or anything like that, right? And then we've got this one. Insane conspiracy theorist thinks Biden is still alive. Yes, there are some people who actually believe that Joe Biden is still alive. I don't think he is. I think he's brain dead, to be quite honest. At the very least, he's not there. We have Valiant Thor noted here that Kamala copied and pasted Trump's no tax on tips at this rate. Next time she speaks, she'll say, "Let's make America great again." You're probably not wrong on that. Probably not wrong on that at all. Something that I wanted to bring up, and I know this last one is not. Well, actually, wait. I had one more here first. Here we have Tim. Sorry about that, folks. Sorry about that. I'm trying to get the sound thing going down. Anyway, I wanted to share this with you because I wanted to share this with you because I keep messing with the sound here, and I need to make sure that I have this going. There we go. All right, now back to what I was saying. I wanted to share this with you because the other day there were some folks who were testifying, or at least I don't know if this was. Let me clarify. I don't know if this was the other day. I just know that this news report has resurfaced, and the guy running for vice president of the United States on the Democratic side has this saying that he likes to push. Let me play it for you real quick.
Because we know there's a golden rule. Mind your own damn business.
So he likes to say we want to mind our own damn business. Well, part of your business, Mr. Governor, as governor of the state of Minnesota, is public safety. It's your job to do whatever you can to protect the people, protect the businesses, protect the entities and the communities that are under your purview. And there was some testimony that took place. And once again, I don't know if this testimony was just recently or if this has resurfaced recently. But this is evidence right here of how Mr. Walz has completely and utterly failed the people of Minnesota, of St. Paul and Minneapolis. And I want you to consider this when you're considering whether or not he is the sort of guy that you want to have number 2 in line in running this country.
We are seeing such damage and destruction throughout Minneapolis and St. Paul. Things have gotten so out of control, it is hard to understand.
It's been a chaotic, at times violent day in South Minneapolis, turning into a situation unlike anything we've ever seen in our community.
From Chopper 5 up above, we can see the plume of smoke drifting towards downtown Minneapolis.
Started vandalizing the building, shattering a window, spray painting squad cars.
We are asking the governor, we're asking Mayor Fry, what is the plan here?
We saw people throwing rocks at police cars, at the precinct building.
This has gotten so out of control, it is definitely not a safe situation for anyone.
The tragedy would be if one of these dumpster fires spreads to one of those big apartment buildings or some of these homes, and then you can't get a fire truck down the street.
Please, Governor Walz, Mayor Fry, explain to us what the plan is.
We've seen protesters attacking police, defacing buildings, and looting from businesses.
The place is completely trashed. A lot of stuff has been hauled out of there. Sadly, no police presence in that area whatsoever.
I'm just so baffled. If this is being in charge, this is not a good look.
There is oil, there are chemicals, there are paints, all sorts of things that are combustible and that could really cause a huge explosion.
People are scared and people are angry and people want to hear from their governor.
If the governor and the mayor are not going to take care of this problem, people will. People will uprise over this.
This is a fail. I mean, this is an abject failure. I just don't think there's any other way to put it. You know, like I said earlier, the house is on fire. Will you please tell us if the fire department's on its way? I mean, is anything going to happen?
Testified at the Minnesota Senate today. The officers are all board members for the Minneapolis Police Federation. And as Esme Murphy reports, they offered up a scathing critique of government and police leaders during the riots following George Floyd's death.
That's not what we stand for.
Her voice shaking, Minneapolis Police Sergeant Anna Hedberg says during the riots, officers were abandoned by state, city, and department leaders.
To watch them go through that was so heartbreaking. To know that they could have died because we were not allowed to respond the way that we have been trained to respond.
During the riots, the officers were told they could not wear protective frog suits, but were still hit and injured with bottles, cement, and more. Sergeant Hedberg blames state, city, and department leaders for the abandonment of the 3rd Precinct.
I heard the governor say, give it up. It wasn't directly to me, it was through a phone call. How the governor says, give up the precinct. I mean, that's demoralizing for this whole state.
And the 3 described a demoralized police force with dozens of officers planning to retire or quit.
I believe I speak for every Minneapolis cop when I tell you that I've never been more publicly humiliated.
They also described a city out of control.
The crime is rampant in Minneapolis right now.
So Mr. Walls, how about you mind your own damn business? That was your business, and you clearly were not minding it. Anyway, on a lighter note, I want to thank you all for tuning in. But before we go, because it's the end of the show, but before we go, you know how we do it. Got to give one more quick shout out to our sponsors. Hitman Industries rifle and pistol length barrels available for you today at hitmanindustries.net. The California Republican Assembly, the conscience of the Republican Party. If you want to be a part of California's future today, got to join CRA. Then you got Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com, HAWG holsters.com. Make sure you discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces, one word, and get your Hog Holster on discount today. And then finally, you can get all things tactical, except the gun, at uscombatgear.com. That's going to be it for today's program. We very much appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program and encouraging your friends to do the same. We'll be back tomorrow on Hump Day. Until then, y'all have fun, stay safe, and if you get a chance, send a few downrange for me. Holla.